Have you ever wondered what the Christian Science Church was like? Well, I grew up in the Christian Science Church and religion. My name is Julie. After 40 years, I went my own way and found a greater understanding of the writings and works of Mary Baker Eddy, who is the woman that Christian Science is, the religion and the church are founded on. Mary Baker Eddy's discovery that we're spiritual beings, that matter is a way we see our thoughts. We're seeing them in our mind, and we're seeing them as matter, but our thoughts are not substantial. They're just thoughts, images. We get to see what we think and how we're thinking and what we're thinking about. And our current conception of ourselves, like this body, this image is my current conception of myself as a spiritual being. The problem is we fell from this kind of very normal way of being a spiritual being. We got like kind of mesmerized by matter, by the images, and started to think that was us. That this material world is real and substantial in and of itself. And that's our real personality, our real body, our real home, our real family. So we reversed things. And now we're stuck. We're stuck in a state that's really a tight mesmerism, similar to The Matrix, the movie The Matrix. And we're stuck thinking that. And it's going to take an unwinding, and we can't do it from the standpoint of mortal mind, of the mind and matter. Like, we've given this body an identity, we've given this world an identity, and we call it me and we call it mine, and we really, really, really think it's us. And the way to get out of it is to do what she called self-examination, examining your thoughts, and allowing your true self, your real nature, soul, God, the great I am, to unwind you and to reveal to you all the ways that you're kind of trapped in the belief that the body is me, the personality is me, and matter is real. So it was a simple truth that she wanted to share with the world. She was a Christian, and she had this revelation through studying the Bible and through studying Jesus's teachings, and she felt that it was an extension of what Jesus was teaching. It was what Jesus was actually teaching his students, and she wanted to share it with everybody. And she thought, oh, they'd get it. They'd see what I see if I just point it out. But they didn't, and so she started teaching a few students, and then eventually those students, liked it so much, and they found healing happening in their lives. And she was able to, she had healing happening all around her. And so it started to gain a lot of momentum in the 1800s, to the point where she had a large group of students. And because they were all Christians, they were only used to having churches. Like, that's what you do back in the 1800s. Everybody was a Christian and everybody went to church. And if you didn't go to church, it was, you just were nobody. And nobody wanted to be nobody. Nobody wanted to be without a church. So they wanted a church, and they were going to start building one and starting a religion based on her teachings. And then she realized, well, that's not gonna be good, because my teachings are the exact opposite. I'm saying that this world is not real, and we need to wake up from it back to our original state as an eternal, immortal, pure love, a being of pure love. But this isn't anything like. So what she did is she said, well, I'll establish a church. And she did a really simple structure with a very small manual that governs it, and a very small administrative overhead, and it was supposed to be between you and God. But after she passed, it wasn't, nobody remembered that. Nobody was able to maintain that truth. And so for generations, I'm a fourth generation Christian Scientist. There's 5 generations of my family. We've just gone on forward thinking this is what she wanted. And like in her original book, Science and Health Science and Health Key to Strictures is her main book. But it's gone through, I don't know, something like 500 revisions from the time she discovered it till 1910 when she died. But her first edition is where she really was like, hey, let's spell it out. Like on page 166, the mistake the disciples of Jesus made to found religious organizations and church rites, if indeed they did this, was one the master did not make. No time was lost by our master in organizations, rites, and ceremonies, or in proselytizing for certain forms of belief. Members of his church must answer to themselves in the secret sanctuary of soul questions of the most solemn import. First, am I gaining a victory over matter? And present with spirit, present with love and truth, supping with them, and they with me, gaining this oneness with God of which Jesus spake, thus rising superior to personal sense, and so on. And then, anciently, the followers of Christ's truth measured their Christianity by the control it gave them over sickness, sin, and death, where the more modern forms of religion leave out the first proof and substitute observance for a test of the latter. But we are learning slowly as the centuries pass to leave forms and doctrines and require the primitive tests of Christianity. So her first work made it clear she did not see any value in church and religion and was not going to have that. But she realized that this mortal dream that we're in has some momentum, and it's not going to be an overnight waking up process. So there had to be some temporary something in between to get people who were so used to going to a church and having a religion, to get them to this personal relationship with soul, God, and to work out of the illusion. Even in her current works, like in Miscellaneous Writings is one of her books. It's called Miscellaneous Writings, 1883 to 1896. On page 358, it says, when students have fulfilled all the good ends of organization and are convinced that by leaving the material forms thereof, a higher spirituality is won, then is the time to follow the example of the Alma Mater. Material organization is requisite in the beginning, but when it has done its work, the purely Christly method of teaching and preaching must be adopted. And then later on, she says, growth is restricted by forcing humanity out of the proper channels for development, or by holding it in fetters. And that's really what we're, as a religion and church, happened, is it has held us in fetters. We had so many people telling us, including the board of directors, we have a board of the church, telling us it's not time yet, and this is what you need to do, and reiterating all of the kindergarten level understandings. And maybe in the beginning that was okay because everyone, Christian Science was brand new in the 1800s, and it was growing like crazy. It was growing all over the world. And so there were no second generation Christian Scientists yet. There was only like people who had found it by either being healed or by reading the book and realizing this is what they wanted, and being healed by the book. So maybe in the beginning it was good to keep feeding these kindergarten level teachings and to make sure the church fulfilled its good ends. But now, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, Now we have a fifth generation in our family. Do we really need to keep holding our, members and our brothers and sisters in fetters by saying the church, the religion, is where it's at? That's what Christian Science is. It's the church. It's the religion. It's going every Sunday to our 1 hour service and going every Wednesday to our 1 hour service. The Wednesday one is a different kind of service, but very similar. And reading your lesson every day. And, all of these things that we've done as a religion, as the Christian, I'm in the religion of Christian Science. I belong to the church of Christian Science. All that stuff is following a religion. It's doing the things that the religion is saying to do that are important. And in the beginning, obviously, that was necessary. But 4 generations, 5 generations later, where I grew up, I was born to 2 parents who were Christian Scientists, and both of their parents were Christian Scientists. And they had family that was Christian Scientist, like one parent, or, so everything you needed to learn about Christian Science, according to the church, you learned at home, and you learned every day since the beginning. It wasn't the right stuff. Obviously, we learned a ton of the wrong stuff. Everybody did. It was just, we got off track. We got off track in so many different ways. And that's subject for other videos. But to think that after all these generations, and after being born into the teachings, that we still need it, and that we can't find that individual relationship to God and do the work, of waking up. Is waking up a team sport? No, it's an individual, process. It's between you and God, you and soul, and no one else. And although, like the Christian Science Church, we don't have preachers, we only have, lay leaders, or they're, a board of directors that is elected by the members, and a reader who reads the weekly Bible lesson that every Christian Science church is reading all over the world, that same lesson. But they're elected to read it, a first reader and a second reader, and then we have all these different committees. It's our edifice complex. Christian Scientists have an edifice complex at this point, where we, by tradition, being handed down, we were handed down these rules of church, this and that, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And it doesn't really make for a religion or it doesn't make a group of people that independently trust and rely on God, their higher self, for everything in their lives, for direction, guidance, healing, unwinding. It makes for a problem with our development, a delay in our development, holding our development in fetters. And the problem is that the church just isn't being honest about this. And a lot of people leave. When I left, I realized I graduated. I graduated from church and religion. I was shunned. I was shamed. I was told to my face, shame, 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 shame on you, by a fellow church member. And I lost friends. I lost close family relationships. And it's sad because those individuals themselves didn't know what Christian Science was about. They couldn't have sat down and told you what Christian Science was about, that it's about the scientific statement of being, and simply that truth. And the entire book of Science and Health is basically written in a million different ways, trying to help you understand this truth of what that we're spiritual beings that fell into the belief that we're material beings, and now we're stuck in, and we can't get out on our own without the help of the source of everything, who we really are, God. They couldn't tell you that. I think that most of them don't know that. Most of them just know you go to church and don't go to doctors, and you call a practitioner when you're sick, you know. And it's just this like amazing truth that she discovered. And that's where we have it. We have all these people going to church every Sunday and Wednesday and thinking, well, I'm there. I did it. I'm a Christian Scientist, you know. My dad would get up on Wednesdays when there was testimony meetings on the Wednesday meetings, and he would say, I've been a Christian Scientist all my life and I've never gone to a doctor. And that to him was Christian Science. That's it. I did it. I mean, he was very ill at the time when he would do this. He had heart disease. He was dying. But that to him didn't matter. He was Christian Science. He was a practicing, and of course they're a practicing Christian Scientist. So I hope that helps in understanding kind of the evolution, what's going on, how the Christian Science church came in and religion came into being.